will send the Dogs home to the championship game.
Corner, he's got it.
And again, Stroud drops it in, stiff arm, all the way to the end zone.
The Rose Bowl is the most prestigious bowl game in college football history. It has earned the nickname the granddaddy of them all. It has been host to some of the best college football games of all time, this including the 2006 Rose Bowl, which is regarded as one of the best games, if not the most exciting and best college football game of all time. This Rose Bowl was a matchup between number 1 USC and number 2 Texas. Before we take a look at this game, let's see how we got here. The USC Trojans this season was just coming off an 11-0 campaign the previous season, and USC was on the verge of building a dynasty. In 2002, they went 11-2 and won the Orange Bowl. In 2003, they went 12-1 and won the Rose Bowl. In 2004, they won the Orange Bowl, won 11-0, and ranked number 1 in the AP poll. Of course, this team was led by one of the most amazing players in college football history, and that being Reggie Bush. The second running back on that team was LenDale White, and I don't know if many people know this, but in 2004, the previous season to the 05 season, LenDale White led USC in rushing yards. And this was one of the most perfect running back duos in college football, as you had Reggie Bush, who's a good 3-down back. He could run, he could pass catch, and you had LenDale White, who was a bigger back and could take on physical contact. Under center, they had 2004 Heisman Trophy winner Matt Leinart, who also won Pac-10 Offensive Player of the Year back-to-back years. On the outside, Matt Leinart had weapons Dwayne Jarrett and Steve Smith. No, not that Steve Smith. We talking about the Steve Smith that used to play for the Giants, and Dwayne Jarrett was clearly the best receiver on this core. On the defensive line, they had guys like Frosty Rucker and Lawrence Jackson. Then you had true freshman Cedric Ellis on the defensive line as well, who was third this season in tackles for loss on this team. The linebacker core was made of guys like Oscar Lua, Thomas Williams, and Colin Ashton. Another fun fact, they had true freshman Clay Matthews on this team, who played in 8 games. Wasn't really an impact player, but he did play in 8 games. Another true freshman that made more of an impact at linebacker than Clay Matthews was Brian Cushing. He played in 8 games as well, but he had better stats than Clay Matthews. Darnell Bing and Josh Pinkert were the leaders for the DBs on this defense. This defense only allowed 22 points per game, while the offense scored 49 points per game. Now we move on to Texas, where of course their best player and most important and impactful player was Vince Young. And he might have been the only guy in college football at this time that you could have said was better than Reggie Bush. Behind him at running back, you had Jamal Charles and Romonce Taylor. On the outside, Vince Young was throwing to Billy Pittman, David Thomas, and Lamar Swede. Jonathan Scott was the only player on this Texas offensive line that made it to the NFL. The defensive line for Texas was led by Frank Oakham, Brian Robinson, Roger Q. Wright, and Tim Crowder. The starting linebackers was Aaron Harris, Robert Kilbrew, and Rashad Bobbin. The Longhorns starting DBs was Terrell Brown, Cedric Griffin, Michael Griffin, and Michael Huff. Another fun fact, Texas also had Colt McCoy on their team, but he didn't play. The Texas defense only allowed 16 points per game, while the offense scored 50 points per game. And of course, both teams were led by 2 really great coaches, USC head coach being Pete Carroll, and Texas head coach being Mack Brown. And it's easy for me to just jump to the Rose Bowl and get to the game, but both teams almost lost early in the season. For Texas, that loss almost came in week 2 against number 4 ranked Ohio State. Texas jumped out to a 10-0 lead against Ohio State, but then Ohio State responded and outscored them 22-6. And with just under 3 minutes to go, Texas would score a touchdown and they would take the lead 24-22. Texas would survive the last 2.5 minutes and pull out the win. For USC, their close matchup came in week 6 against Notre Dame. This game is more remembered for one play rather than the whole entire game. That play being named the Bush Push. See, what had happened was USC was down 31-28 with about 7 or 8 seconds left. USC was on the goal line. All they had was a couple more inches to go, and if they scored a touchdown, of course they win. If they don't, well, then we might not have been talking about this game right now. So the ball snapped. Leinart looks like he's going to get stopped short of the touchdown and the game's going to be over, but Reggie Bush pushed him into the end zone, giving USC the win. And the controversy about this play was that it wasn't legal, as you couldn't assist a player by pushing him in forward progress. But this play is hardly called a flag in football, so it was allowed in this game. After both of these teams had close calls, they blew out everybody else in their way. After December 3rd, the matchup was set. You had number 1 USC versus number 2 Texas. To make this game even more enticing, you had Reggie Bush winning the Heisman Trophy over Vince Young. Now to this day, some people still have discussions about who should have won this Heisman Trophy. Some people think Vince Young, some people think Reggie Bush. Let me know down in the comment section below who should have won. Now I don't know if anybody knows this, but USC was ranked number 1 throughout the whole season heading into this matchup. Texas was ranked number 2 throughout the whole season heading into this matchup, and both of these are by the AP poll. So this was truly a matchup between two Goliaths. The build up to this game added on to the greatness of the game. First off, you had Reggie Bush, of course, winning the Heisman over Vince Young. This was the first time both teams were ranked number 1 and number 2 throughout the whole season and ended up playing each other in a national title game. And since Reggie Bush won the Heisman, this was going to be the first time in Rose Bowl history where two Heisman winners shared their backfield in this bowl game. Win streaks was also important going into this game as these teams combined for a 53-game win streak. The last time USC lost before this game was in 2003, so they were on a 34-game win streak. And Texas was on a 19-game win streak. The last time they lost was October 9th of 2004. Also, ESPN was having segments about USC possibly beating NFL teams. And the last nugget to add on to the greatness of this game was that this was going to be Keith Jackson's last call game. And if you don't know who Keith Jackson is, he's one of the most legendary commentators in college football history, and he coined the nickname the granddaddy of them all for the Rose Bowl. And now we get into predictions for this game, and most of America had USC winning. And it made sense. They had two Heisman Trophy winners, they had two 1,000-yard rushers, they had the better receivers, they had a stacked defense. I mean, USC was just media darlings at this time. Mark May and Kirk Herbstreit both said that they were the second best team of all time in the BCS era. Another fun fact, one of the only ESPN analysts to pick Texas at this time was Lee Corso. So really it was very few people around America that believed Texas could really pull off this upset against USC.
College football is in assembly at the Rose Bowl 2006.
Now the game started out like a college football game. USC was forced to a 3-and-out, and on a punt, Texas fumbled and USC recovered it, and a couple plays after the recovery, Lindell White would punch it in for 6. On Texas' first drive of the game, they would get stopped on 4th and 1, giving the ball back to USC in good field position once again. USC could not capitalize though, as they were stopped on 4th and 1, just like Texas was. USC would get the ball back though, and it looked like they could have went up 14-0. Reggie Bush made a couple defenders miss on a short pass, but then he pitched the ball back to a USC player, and the USC player didn't get it, so it ended up being a fumble recovered by Texas. After this, Texas would go on to score 16 unanswered points, and then they took a lead into halftime 16-10. On USC's first possession after halftime, they would score a touchdown, taking the lead 17-16. On Texas' possession after that, Vince Young would call his own number and score a touchdown, giving Texas the lead again. Not too long after that, USC would score another touchdown as Lindell White would punch it in for his third touchdown of the game. And I don't know if it's really talked about, but if USC wins this game, then Lindell White probably gets Rose Bowl game MVP. After Texas missed a field goal, USC would make another drive and they would score another touchdown, this time being Reggie Bush. Texas would get a field goal to score a 26-point, but the only problem is USC would score another touchdown on the following possession, and now Texas is in a position to where they have to score points. Texas would do just that, as once again Vince Young would call his own number on a scramble and he would go in for 6. Now this game would come down to one play, as it was 4th and 1 with 2:13 left to go. If USC gets this first down, then the game is over. If Texas stops them, then they keep hope alive, and all they gotta do is score a touchdown to take the lead.
Power back. He gets it. He didn't get it.
So Texas stopped them, and now they got the ball back. All they need is a touchdown to win the game. And it looked like Texas was going to have to convert like a 4th and 2 or 4th and 3, but Darnell Bean got caught for a face mask and it gave Texas a first down. Texas would then go on to gain a couple first downs, and then the game will come down to one play with 26 seconds left.
He's going for the corner. He's got it.
USC would have 16 seconds to answer, and they couldn't, so Texas put out the win. This would mark Texas' 800th win in program history. This was also Mack Brown's one and only national championship win. Vince Young won Rose Bowl MVP, accounting for 467 yards and 3 touchdowns for Texas. After the game, Pete Carroll said about Vince Young's performance that it was the greatest performance he's ever seen by any one guy. A total of 49 players that played in this game went on to play in the NFL. 15 of those 49 were drafted in the 06 draft. and this win by Texas ended USC's chance to become a dynasty. And this game had everything you wanted. It had great players like 2 Heisman Trophy winners. It had Vince Young, a really great college quarterback. It had 2 really good coaches. And not only that, it had a great build up to this game. But that'll be all for this video. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. And until next time, I'm out. Peace.